Hello guys and welcome to Mark Shrimp Tanks. I thought we'd take a dive into this nasty, mucky, oily filmed cull tub and give it a good clean because I would love to see the crayfish that actually live in there. We have Australian blue crayfish that aside aboard, they live, they thrive, or do they? Who knows, right? But here you can see there's like a slight oil slick on here, which is never a good thing. And we're going to remove basically anything in here that we don't need. We see like a few pipes here that have popped up that are floating. I want to remove as much of this mass as possible of plants and duckweed, right? Because what's the point in having crayfish if I never see them? Right, so the goal with this today is to get this baby here, which can have its really beautiful days, get it tidied up. We're going to cut back some of this pothos as well, let more light into the actual cull tub itself. Remove as much of this floating mass as possible. The frog bit is being chopped to pieces. This is probably by the crayfish as well. You can see a lot of the plants like this. Look, this is simply just like things like leaves floating around, bits of floating plants. There is a lot of shrimp in here still, so we're going to do this a different way than I'd normally do. I'm going to use my hand to remove a lot of this mass, right? And for that we will need... We're going to use a jug. First few amounts of water that we take from this, we're going to use a jug, right? And this water serves one purpose, and that is, this is where the shrimp are going to live when we remove the plants, right? This is an easy way to do it. Just go like this, make sure you splash around a teeny bit, because you want to get all the shrimp away from where you're going to use the jug later, right? So we're looking here. There is no shrimp in there. And you go right. We're also going to do a water change in this today as well, I think. It's been a little while, been majorly neglected, and this tub gets the same water changes as a Neocaridina. So we're talking RO water for me. So you can see what I mean there with the plants. You see how chewed up they are? This is what they're all like. Right, so that means reverse osmosis water, reverse osmosis water. God, my English is really bad today. Reverse osmosis water with GH powder, which will take us up to the range of 190 parts per million. If you use tap water, that's fine as well. Right, and the way I like to do this, guys, right, it's quite easy to see if there's any shrimp in here, because that was the hardest part. The next thing I like to do is actually physically get my hand in here, like this. And we're going to look for anything in here that is like plant-based, where we can just go like this. You're basically going to go in with your hand, with your fingers spread open. Oh! I think I got bitten by the crayfish, but you can see the amount of damage the cray-crays are doing to the plants here. They just love to munch through, and it makes the tank look a mess. Okay, so get that mess into there. Rinse and repeat. It's good if you give it a little bit of a shake like this. And the reason I do it like this as well, guys, is, as I said, less shrimp gets stuck. We want this to be as clean as possible today, right? Because I do plan to stream this later on, but I can't stream it like this because you guys won't be able to see anything, right? So we're going to give this tank a nice clean. All of these plants here, as long as there's no shrimp, the rest of it will be composted. I can actually see quite a lot of shrimp in here, actually. So it'd be nice to see some shrimp. Get all this stuff out here. Get all this stuff out here, even if I'm actually facing the right way. Right, so I know I have crayfish in here for sure. I was actually feeding them yesterday and I could see them, and I thought, you know, let's clean their tub a little bit. Let's get it so we can actually see them really nicely. Right, bits like this are just serving no purpose in the tank, so I'm going to give this a rinse. Bits like this are serving no purpose at all in the tank. Let's just give them a rinse. As much as the life, whatever else is on it, I'll always check for snails and things. But what I'm looking to remove here, guys, is bits like this. Things that will block the light as well, right? So get that all out. And eventually I will have to use a net, and there's a way you do that as well. I use one of the bigger fish nets to do this, and it's just to get the final layer of duckweed out the tank. Now you can get rid of duckweed. I know some of you will be laughing in the comments. But persistence pays off with duckweed, right? If you keep on removing it day by day by day, you can't actually get rid of it. I've done it in a few tanks before. It is possible. Right, so you just have to persevere. And the best thing I could probably do now is we'll have a cup of tea, let this settle, and come back with the net. Right, you can see there's some shrimp there. You see them on the pipe? Come back when it's settled a little bit more. But even now, that's like 100 times better than it was. There's so much more light getting through. I want to get this to the point where we can see them where they're feeding. There's actually one right here. You see it? Right there. It's not very scared of me today. I don't know if you guys can see this one or not. I'm surprised it's actually here because normally they're very sketchy when they see me. You see it right there? Okay, so we let it settle for a minute. I also turned off the water, just the little pump there, because it was making a hell of a splash when we're doing things, right? So we've got this little green net here. This is the one I use specifically for this tank. And I get all the duckweed out as much as I can with this little thing. Right, and obviously guys, you will catch the odd shrimp with this as well, right? So this is why we have our little bucket here. We will keep this bucket for a day or two, and I will actually go through it quite meticulously and look for baby shrimp. And just anything that's in there basically. The snails, I will also rescue them as well. And that's why we use a white bucket, because it's very easy to see if you catch anything, right? So it's as simple as this with this thing. Whatever kind of container you have, I find it's always easier to go around kind of clockwise like this, and just keep on going around like this, guys, right? And don't splash around too much, because you want the duckweed to float. Okay, you want it to float as much as possible. You don't want it getting stuck in everything underneath, because then later on you just have the same problem again. And I'm not saying that this will get rid of all your duckweed, but it will help a lot. At least you'll be able to see the fauna in the tank. Alright, so this is one of the little tips, I would say. I'm very surprised actually as well. In a second I'll hopefully show you more of the crayfish, because they're actually not as shy as I thought they were, or they're not as shy as they used to be. So you can see here how much gunk. Oh, how much gunk was in there. We've got another net full, and we'll just keep on doing this, guys, for however long it takes, until you're happy that most of the stuff is out of the water. Right, so I plan to stream this tank later on, so I want as little stuff on the surface of the water as possible, because the camera will have issues trying to focus with things that are actually in the water on the surface. Right, and what I'm noticing here as well, guys, is when I'm doing this is there's quite a lot of marrow mossballs in this tub. Let me just show you some. Right, and some of them are okay, but they're very dark and they look like they could almost fall apart. You see them like this? I don't know if that is with a lack of light or what. I'll gently just give them a little wash like this, and I'll put them just in my wee little cherry shrimp tank over here. Let me show you. That's if there is any good ones like this. This one seems decent. Cherry shrimp have been fed. See them at the bottom, there's lots of snails. Let's just put this guy in here, because that was quite a nice marrow mossball. But some of this is just junk. Look at this, it's just like lots of weed. There's old bits of sponges and stuff in here. There's of course crazy crays in here as well. Like that's just a mass of rubbish. Big bit of Java fern here, which we'll keep. Let's give it a little bit of a shake, see what comes off it. Little bits of white pipe. Little bits of white pipe in a crayfish tank, guys, are here just so things like the shrimp or any baby crayfish that we get in the future have somewhere to hide, to get away from the adults. This one's actually coming out here. You see the crayfish? Will it bite me? And I'm actually seeing over here A little bit of a sponge filter. Little bits of sponge filters like that are good, I think, to have in a tank. It gives the bigger shrimp something to munch on. The baby shrimp, another moss ball, and we go plop. That was quite a nice moss ball actually. I'm thinking, guys, that there might be quite a few of the crayfish in this corner, right? So I'm a little bit apprehensive to shove my hand in that corner, but there's another nice moss ball. It just goes to show. I'm thinking I don't have any moss balls, and there's quite a few here. This one has little bits hanging off it. I don't know if that's how my moss balls start. This one's quite messy and it's got string algae in it, but we can recover it. Bloop. Let me see. I have a feeling there will be crayfish here somewhere. Just know. Ah, I think I felt something on my hand. Mark, don't be such a nussy. I didn't say the word, guys. Didn't say it. So that moss ball there is clearly falling apart. This one's probably okay. A little miniature one. Let's give it a little clean. That's what I do. I just like to give it a little rub like this, make it. See, because that's quite a nice little moss ball. And you go. We have some Anubis here. Anubis. It's been munched to death. This will be from the crazy craze, right? So I'm going to put this up on the back part here somewhere. And there's a mass here that I just can't see through. What is that there? A little rock? Right, so I'm just searching for things that we can take out here that no longer do anything in the tank. Right, so here we have part of a moss ball. There's a little bit of a good moss ball there. I don't know if we can save both these. This little one for sure we can save. This one, isn't that a nice little thing? And you go plop. This one is just a mess. Right, so get your hands right in here. I just felt a crayfish under that filter. Come on. I'm hoping that they've realised I'm here and they're backed off into somewhere else, because I don't want my fingers in it. See, that is just a mess. Right, so I think the next thing for us to do here is again let it settle more, because it's already pretty decently clean now. The intake for the filter is right there. You see it's a double sponge and it goes into a power head and it comes up into this thing here. I think we will remove a little bit more water, probably 10 litres something out of this tank. We'll clean these two filters as well, because they look pretty choked. We'll clean at least one of them. That top one looks mega choked. Let's see, how's it going? You see how much crap and crud is still on the surface here? Still quite a bit. You see the cherry shrimp? They've got the chimper on the side. They're like, oh, yeah, we have some light. Thank you, Mark. Okay, so I want it to be a bit cleaner than this still. So we're also going to do a water change, as we said. This is how I do it, guys. Now I know you guys will be saying, some of you will be saying, oh, I just use tap water, blah 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 blah. Well, I don't, and I have lots of success breeding shrimp, right? So there you go. There's my reply to all the naysayers and haters. Give me a thumb down, because that helps my channel grow. I have scales here. This is how I make my water for all my Neocaridina. It's a slightly different way I do it for Caridina, Sulawesi, etc. But I thought I'd share it with you guys because I thought you'd be interested in this still. Even though I've probably shown some of you like 1,000 times. Right, I have my scales because I measure everything. Let me just tear this. I think I just teared it, didn't I, before? Put it on, tear. Right, and this is 25 odd litres of water. I've done this exactly to the gram, measuring this before, so I replicate it the same every single time, right? So TDS 192 parts per million, 6.5 grams. And as I said to you guys, like a bazillion times, I go by what's on the labelling, because these guys will know better than someone else that has like 100 subscribers and like, oh no Mark, I use just tap water. One second guys, I can't seem to get the lid off because I'm using one hand. Don't look at the roof. Let me see, get this off. So we're looking for 6.5 grams to 7 grams with this. I just go between that every single time I do it. And normally it's like 2 scoops, I think. 2 heaped scoops. So that gave us 3.23. Heap scoop again. You can buy these little scales, by the way, on eBay. They're very, very cheap. Right, so that's 6.47. That's how close we were. But I always put a teeny bit extra in here because I like the water just to be a teeny bit harder. Sometimes this tub fills up a little bit more or a little bit less, so you have to account for all these variables. When you're using your salt, remember to put your lids back on if you have a second lid, because it can ruin a batch of salt. Right, take your powder. This is pure RO water. The TDS is something like 6 or 7 because I've used this before for mixing something, right? So it has a slight TDS reading from that. Plop your stuff in, and I always dip the glass in as well to make sure I get all of the salts off. Put it to the side without smashing it because it's a glass petri dish type thing. Give it a good stir. Now I have air running through this. One of the pumps has been running for the last couple of hours. That blue one there, this is the one I actually use to put the water into things. You guys will have seen that before as well. There's the outlet, and this where I'm pointing to here. That grey one there, the little grey pump, it's just a low wattage pump that is on all the time that gives the water some circulation. As I said to you guys as well, here is my little, where is it? Little air stone type thing. You can probably just see it in the camera. Let me see. You see it, the bubbles? Just to give the water some aeration as well. You don't want to just put your salt in and leave it stagnant. Give it a good mix. Now, normally this water is quite good to go straight away. Once you give it a mix like this for maybe a minute or two. I think, is that good enough? Alright, so we have roughly about 10 litres that we need to take out here. 10, 12 litres, something like that. Oh, I'm trying to not hurt my feet and my back again like I did a few minutes ago. You wouldn't have seen. So this is how I do it here. It's very easy, very simple. I can also use a siphon on here, but this is just an easier way for me to do it. Okay, so I have my net again. This is going to be our little shrimp saver net. I normally have the bigger. Oh, let me just get it because we're here. This bigger 1 litre tub. I'm on my knees. Maybe I should have been in Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, one of the little munchkin dudes. Oompa, oompa, oompa-dee-doo. Mark Shrimp Tanks is gonna get you. I don't know where that came from. So we have our 1 litre container here. And it's up to you if you want to check, and it's always good if you do because as you can see, big cherry shrimp. And I try not to catch the shrimp, right? So I look in, nothing's there. Always pass through the net just in case I miss something. And I only have to do this like 1,000 times. No, I only have to do it like 10 times. See, there's a shrimp in there. See it? No shrimp that time. No shrimp again. And of course this is way easier for me when I'm not filming. You can see me like dropping water on the floor and stuff. It's just the way it is. And you can see with that watercolour, this tank probably did need a water change. I'll also give one of the filters a clean, and I'll show you how I do that as well. And what's very interesting, guys, right, is this. In tanks that I do this in with an active substrate, I will have spoken to some of you about this before, the water is crystal clear. But in tanks where I do this in a sand substrate, gravel substrate, something that is inert, the water is dirty. It's kind of yellowish, brownish, and that is because inert substrates don't have a cation exchange ability. So that means that they cannot absorb things out of the water. Right, so not only does your active soils in your tanks, like these ones up here that you can see, not only do they keep the pH down low, they also keep the water clean. This is one of the reasons why we also use montmorillonite clay in our tanks too, because it is a clay and it has a cation exchange ability. It helps us clean the tanks, right? There's a big shrimp in there, we don't want you to get away. Nothing in there, right? So we're nearly there, it's almost 10, I think we'll go to 11. Maybe 12 because we have quite a bit of water there. I don't plan to do any more water changes today on anything else. Come on guys, one more, and that will do us. I think a shrimp went in there. No, it didn't. Right, and then we will start to refill it. How easy is this going to be? We'll refill it, we'll change that top sponge filter, and I'll show you how I do that as well. In a shrimp safe kind of way, okay? One momento guys. We have our tub here, and you will see the cable. This is just the cable I use for my microphone. I'm going to go over and I'm going to grab the sponge. We're going to do just the top one on this occasion. Right, and in the actual container itself, I'm just going to give it a couple of dunks up and down like this. Maybe you can't see it. You could just see it, I think. Right, and this is to give any baby shrimp that's on here a chance to get off. Right, and then we're going to move over to our other tub, and what I always do here guys is I dunk it in slowly and I look to see if I see any shrimp bolting off of the sponge, right? It's always worth checking the ends like so, and just do this, go over it with your fingers really lightly like this, and you will see if there's any shrimp in the creases and folds of the sponge, right? And it's quite easy to see if there's anything in the water as well. I can tell you there's nothing in here at all. Not a thing. Right, so then we therefore clean the sponge. Now, I'm imagining this is going to be quite black because crayfish are pretty heavy feeders. Let's see. Oh, look at that, it's very dirty. It actually feels quite solid and muddy in the middle. So this filter has been needing to be cleaned for a while. But I'm not going to do two of them at the same time. There's two sponges in that tank onto the same pump, but I'm not going to use two of them. Because that would be a little bit stupid. We would lose some of our beneficial bacteria. Give it a sponge, and you can tell guys when a sponge is clean. See when it's like this? When you squeeze it, and if it holds its shape like this, it kind of slightly holds its shape, it's still dirty. See it? You see it's still holding its shape a tiny bit, it's like kind of sucked in. I can feel it as well in the middle where it's still kind of gunky. You can also roll it like this and press the sponge in the center. It's also a very good way to do it. And all you're doing guys is basically loosening up the gunk that's in the middle. You see it's not so hard. It doesn't have to be super clean because this is already cleaner than it was. And on this tank I like to do it a little bit faster than normal because the shrimp like to go into the intake of the sponge basically. They like to do it in all the tanks, but for some reason on this one, I don't know if it's because maybe it's a little bit neglected or maybe they want food or who knows. Right, so then I put the sponge back on away over here. Let me see if I can angle you without smashing the camera. I lost a little bit of this camera today. The grommet, so it wants to flop down all the time, the little camera. Like lens part, not lens part, there's like a rubber part in the camera. Hopefully you can see my beautiful body. Right, so that is our sponge done. Oh, there you go. That wasn't so hard. Open the vise. And there it is. It's pouring in our fresh water that we've just made. Right, so this will take probably about 15 minutes to fill back up. And in that time, guys, more of this junk will come to the surface because you can see it all here and stuck in about the plants and stuff. More of this junk will come up to the surface. And before we switch back on the filters, we'll give it another skim.